Today I'm going to be creating the perfect guide for all those noobs out there. Now it all starts with this, the shaft. This is your cable, this is your wire, this is how you transfer power around your world and transfer different things. Shafts have two properties. They have stress units and they have RPM. RPM is the speed that it rotates, so the faster the speed is, the faster your machine will operate. Here I have two different presses, one going an RPM of 16 and one going an RPM of 256. If I get a stack of iron and I place it onto here, it will press down very slowly. But if I press a stack of iron on here, it'll go a lot faster. So at the start, of course, you will have very slow machines, but as you progress, you should get faster machines as they can do things a lot quicker. Now, there are two types of blocks in the create mod. There are source blocks like a water wheel. You got a small water wheel and a large water wheel. But you also have consumer blocks. They consume power and do. Now the most basic of sources for power are water wheels. Now water wheels are the easiest because you just have to place one source block and it starts spinning. But it doesn't have a very good RPM or very good stress units. Now you're probably thinking, what are stress units? Well, that's what machines use. The faster a machine goes, the more stress units are used. So a simple water wheel provides 256 stress units, while a bigger water wheel provides 512 stress units while going at a slower speed. If we attach a press to this, it will use 32 stress units, but if we attach a press to this, it will use 64 stress units because it's going at a faster speed. Here I have lots of water wheels, but if I put a speedometer, they're only going at 4 RPM, which means this press, even though there's lots of spare stress units, is going to go very slow, because the more water wheels you add, the more stress units there are. If I add a stressometer here, it says there's 6,656 stress units, and since this only uses 32, that's a lot of presses, but going at a very slow speed. So how do you make it faster? Now, one way to speed up your things is using a rotation speed controller. So if you place the rotation speed controller like this, with it connected, you can change on this dial how fast you want it to go, but of course it will use a lot more stress. But rotation speed controllers are very expensive, with using a precision mechanism and brass casing, which is further along in the game. So how do you make your things faster in early game? Well, you use cogs. Just like in real life, you can make things faster by using cogs. If you place down a large cog and then a smaller cog, the smaller cog will actually go at a faster speed than the larger cog. If we put a speedometer here, this is going at 4 RPM, but this is going at 8 RPM. So every time you add another cog, it doubles. So we can do it again. But you might see a problem here. If we place that there, it will also conflict, which is why we use casing. If you put casing on this cog, this will be blocked, but it will still connect there. So in fact, we can put this here, and is now at 16 RPM. So we've gone from 4 RPM to 8 RPM to 16 RPM. And you can continue this as many times as you like. But remember, the more speed there is, the more stress it will use. So eventually you'll have to add more water wheels. Now I want to tell you about the wrench. Whenever you've put a casing on something, you can right click like that, shift right click to actually remove it. And you can pick up any block easily with the wrench. It's very useful and something you should have early game. Now I have geared all this up. This is going the max speed of 256 RPM. Now I've got a mechanical press here, and if I place the mechanical press over here, it will only use 32 stress units and be very slow. But if I place it here, it will now use 2048 stress units and is going at the max speed. Now I want to talk about these two items here, engineering goggles and wrench. I've already told you that you can easily pick things up with the wrench, but you can also rotate things with the wrench very easily in the direction that you're facing, or change how it's turned. Now, for the engineering goggles are very useful to be able to read things. When wearing, it will tell you things like how much stress things are using. Engineering goggles will also let you read speedometers because you can't read them without the goggles. As if it says here 256, but if I remove them, it doesn't say anything, and I can't take anything from it at all. But there is a dial here that you could potentially use. Now I have shown you this from a creative perspective, so you're probably thinking, what's it like in survival? Now, you have two basic resources you need, andesite and iron. These are basically used for everything. When you have smelted down your andesite and iron, you can then in fact turn the iron ingot into iron nuggets. When you have done that, you can now combine 2 iron nuggets with 2 andesite to make an andesite alloy. When you have 2 andesite alloy, you can combine them to make a shaft, which is what we were talking about, which are very useful for transmitting power. So everything basically revolves around andesite and iron ore. Now, andesite is basically the front of the create mod. It is used for everything, including andesite casing. Andesite casing is very useful as it's used in lots of crafting recipes. Overall is a good building block as it connects, and you can use it to encase things like shafts that you don't want to see, and like we mentioned over here, it's used to encase cogs. Now, if you are using the create mod, I recommend JAI. It is a very useful mod that shows you a lot of things, but it can conflict with the search bar, so just make sure you're off it when you're trying to type on it. Now, I want to talk more about how you transmit power, and like I said, yes, you can use shafts. But shafts only go in one direction, like this. What if you want it to go over there? Well, this is where gearboxes come in. You can use gearboxes to transmit power around corners, or maybe up and down across your world. As you can see, it is spinning and then turning right. But you can see these are spinning in different directions, because yes, gearboxes also change the direction of power. So as you can see, it's turning to the right before, and now it is turning to the left. This is because gearboxes are actually made out of cogs, and it just changes the direction. As you can see on there, that's going to the right and that's going to the left. It's also the same with vertical gearboxes. If I place a vertical gearbox there, it changes again. So this is very useful when you want to change the direction. But maybe you want to change the direction on command. Well, this is where a gear shift comes in handy. So it's going that direction right now, but when you give it a redstone signal, it will change back and forth. This is also the same with something called the clutch. When it's not on, it will go straight, but when you turn it on, it will stop. There's also something called the inverse clutch. The inverted clutch, which is from another mod, but it makes it so it's off permanently, and when you give it redstone signal, it turns on, which I personally think is better. So you're probably thinking, there's a mod for a mod. Yes, there are lots of create mod add-ons that I've installed right now, and they are all very useful. One example of another mod is create confectionery, which lets you make chocolate and gingerbread man. As you can see, these are the chocolates here. You can make dark chocolate, white chocolate, ruby chocolate, caramel. You can basically make chocolate of any kind. You can also put them in wrappers, just like this. Now, I want to talk to you about contraptions. Contraptions are their own moving entity. Now, this is an example of a contraption. You have a mechanical bearing which can rotate things, but remember, you need to glue things. Glue can make sure things stick together, so when I glue all of this, the whole contraption will stay together. If I place down a creative motor, it will spin. Currently spinning the wrong way though. And that is also very fast. Now this is a basic harvester contraption. When it rolls over crops, it will in fact, it won't destroy them, it will collect them and put them in a chest that's on board. So if I go over here and add the chest, this is now part of the contraption, and when I spin it, anything that's collected will be put into there. Now you're probably thinking, what is this? Well, it's a portable storage interface, and it can actually connect with other portable storage interfaces. So if I put lots of grass blocks in here, and I say want to get them out on my farm, I will need to place another portable storage interface. So between two portable storage interfaces, you need 1 or 2 blocks. So if I add that there, they will in fact connect. And so what I can do is I can put a chute and a chest. A chute is what you can use to extract items from, I don't know, whatever you want. And so now, whenever this comes around, the blocks will go in here and then down the chute. You can also use a wrench to open this glass area so you can see the blocks going through, and they will in fact fill up here. So I say, how about we make this a functional farm that will actually collect our crops? Now this is a very basic farm, I didn't do it correctly, but you can actually plant carrots on here, and if they're not fully grown, the harvesters will just go straight over them. But if I get some bone meal and I bone meal it, then when it goes over, it will in fact collect the carrot and it will replant it, and now in the chest there are 2 carrots, and whenever it goes over here, the carrots will be transferred in here for you to take. So that is the basics of how contraptions work. Now, I built this in creative, but if you ever want to build this in survival, what I would recommend doing is using a water wheel to power it. Because currently I just put a creative motor, which is only available in creative. But if I replace this with a water wheel that I place here, and I place some water, it will in fact spin. That is the wrong direction. You always got to make sure you're doing it in the correct dimension. And now it will spin by itself without a creative motor. But be careful though, whenever you do break it, it will place here and it will destroy the farmland. Now I do want to remind you that if you are using this mod, please get JEI. It's very useful. It'll tell you all the create mod recipes, even if they're special like the casing, and get how you have to manually apply it, it will tell you how to. Now there are so many other things you can do with contraptions. If I just go here and search mechanical, these are all the things you can put on contraptions to do things like drills. You can make your own drill, because you can use things like minecarts that will actually push your contraption. Now, if I want to put something on a contraption, I can place down a rail, place down the cart assembler and build my thing. Say I want this to be moved across this rail. How would I do it? Then I would put a minecart in there. Remember to always lock the rotation so it doesn't rotate, and I'd flick this lever, and now this bamboo is a part of the minecart and it can be moved. See, that's another way you can actually use contraptions. Now, I think that is it for this basic tutorial on the Create mod. If you did like it and you did want to see another video going maybe more in depth and maybe talking about the brass age and precision mechanism, please let me know. But if you did enjoy the video, please like, subscribe and watch another one. Yeah.